Good evening and welcome to Simple Things podcast. Thank you very much for attending. Today we are treating something so beautiful and so important, and it's chosen by my team. Everything I say. So today they said let's talk about three parenting tips for the 21st century. Three parenting tips for the 21st century, and I can't agree with them more on the fact that this is a very important topic. If you have joined, I will want you to just let me know where you are joining from. You join, you let me know where you are joining from. But we're going to continue just immediately to be able to finish on time. I don't want it to be a very long podcast. So one of the major questions I ask, when I meet parents is that are you very intentional in what you do with your kids? How intentional are you with what you do with your kids? Kids, children, whether they are toddlers, preteens, um, you know, uh, adolescents, teenagers, whoever they are, it is something you're going to be very deliberate about what you do with them, how you train them. Every single step must be very orchestrated. Every single step must be something you are sure of. You know what you want to do in that step. Okay. So it's not something that is haphazard. You are not very sure what you wanted to do. Yeah. So being able to understand that is very important for 21st century parenting. So let's start. Welcome. Let's look at three tips that are so important. But before we do that, let's think of the complexity of raising children in the 21st century. Number one, they know more than you do. Your children know more than you know. That is number one. Very important thing. You must acknowledge that they know more than you know. In fact, in one of my training, I was training teenagers. We have a program called Champ Teens, that's champion teenagers. I was training them, and they asked me the question about how did we get to how did we get to do things when there was no Google? And it got me thinking. They asked that question: how were you able to do your thing? How were you able to read? How were you able to pass the exam? How did you get to know things when there was no Google? I told them we go to the library, we read, we research on anything we want to know. That's how we were able to succeed. And they said, so when you think of, let's say, navigate, you will have to rush to the library to look for it. I say, yes, that's what we were doing. And they couldn't believe that. They asked me, when there was no phone, you claimed there was no phone. Phone came in 2021, thereabout. Sorry, 2001, thereabout. How were you people calling your parents when you were in school? How do you call your parents? Like somebody wounded. How do you tell your parents, oh, somebody is bleeding? He said, you have to go to your mother. Somebody has to go to your mother's shop, go to the market, and who is Kali's mother? And then the Kali's mother will say, is me, oh, and then they will say, no, you can't tell me this. So we have to understand how they think. The truth is that they know more than we do. So the first thing I always tell, or the first tip I want you to understand when you are dealing with your kids, the first tip is entrepreneurial scoping. Entrepreneurial scoping. If somebody is there, you can help me write that entrepreneurial scoping. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Auntie P. Now, entrepreneurial scoping is Okay, let me explain scoping for you. Scoping is the art or the practice of examining something in order to evaluate or to appreciate what it is. That is scoping. The entrepreneurial scoping is the ability to look at something and try to find its entrepreneurial relevance. Now, I tell people that the major reason we're here on earth is entrepreneurial in nature. In other words, you are here to add value. So let's look at entrepreneurship as adding value and making income while making impact. So, in understanding entrepreneurial scoping, one of the first things you understand is that you need to find out your child's aptitude. You need to find out your child's aptitude. Now, what aptitude stands for is your child's natural bent. What are the things your child can do so easily, no problem? Your child can just do that. It could be singing, it could be something like drawing, it could be he or she has a very critical mind, curious mind, could be able to see what others are not seeing, problem solving skills, conflict resolution skills, can make people laugh, knows how to explain difficult things in a simple way, can use his hands, for instance, cooking, you know, repairing things in the house. Always don't joke with that. That's what I call aptitude. Find out what the child is good at. Now, my sojourn in the university taught me something. I won't mention courses, disciplines. But if you go to the university and you observe very well, you're going to find out that there are some departments that are more prone to becoming cultists. Their students are more prone to becoming cultists. There are departments, I repeat, their students are more prone to becoming cultists in the university. And I found out that a lot of those departments are like places where they dump people. You wanted to be a lawyer, you wanted to be a doctor, you wanted to be anything, and you didn't get it. And they say, why don't you take this course? And they took the course. And now they are not happy. They don't think it is in line with where they're going in life. So they are wasting their time. I think so they think. And they are, because of that, not concentrating. They don't even know what is happening in those departments. To that extent, immediately you are able to take that same cultist into a department that his or her have desire. That cultist will immediately start concentrating. You can't take somebody who wants to be a lawyer, you take him and to go and study languages. It will not work. You can't take somebody who wants to be a medical doctor. You say, go and study lab science, go and study, some of that. It may not work. So that is why it's very important that you start discovering what your children want, their aptitude, their natural propensity for something. So we said the first thing is entrepreneurial scoping, and we're trying to explain that. Those who are coming in now, you can go back later and find out what entrepreneurial scoping, yeah, is. Now, immediately you are able to find out his or her aptitude. Okay. The next thing you need to do, help him or her to craft his or her aspirations. Let me tell you what it means. I can talk like I earn all my money talking. For instance, I own a business school, I own an ICT and management consulting firm, I own a training company, I travel the world speaking and talking, and all that. I earn all my money, make all my money talking. Now the point is, this is an aptitude. I can talk. But you see, I've decided to use it in business this way, counseling, talking, helping organizations, helping people, and all those. But you see, I can also decide to use this whether you call it a gift or aptitude, I can decide to use it as what? A pastor in the church. I can decide to use it as an imam. I can decide to use it as a politician. I can decide to use the same token as a rabble rouser. I can decide to use it as an activist. I can decide to use it as a preacher of any kind. I can decide to use it as advocate of any kind. So the point is the same aptitude, but the aspiration can be different. So your ability to now help your child find his or her aspiration from that aptitude, connecting the aptitude to an aspiration is very important. Yes, you can have an aptitude, but when it's not connected to an aspiration, it is not just worth it because the child will move from left to right and all those. I sing. I've written more than 460 songs. I sang today. I compose almost every other day. But you see, I don't like being a musician who goes around getting booked and singing. Yeah, I have 2 albums, but I keep dashing them out. I don't feel like marketing them. I don't just have that, while I can sing very well, but I don't feel it's my calling. I don't feel an aspiration towards that. You see, so the point becomes that your ability to connect your child's aptitude or aspiration is one of the things you must do. If you want to be a 21st century parent, you must understand it. There are no two ways about it. If you don't understand it and the child will be distracted and the child may go into things that are not really right. And most times you're going to be saying, oh, this my child is not listening. This my child is not doing this. This my child is not doing that. The point is that your child is not happy with where you are pushing him or her to. So don't just always push your children. Always try to understand what they're meant for. Don't live your life. Don't live your vision. Don't live your what you wanted to do. You wanted to be a lawyer. You end up not being a lawyer. Then you are now trying to make your children lawyers. No, it's not done. It will not work. So understanding that is very important. Yeah. Now, when you understand that, expose your child to the realities of the market. In other words, if your child says, I want to be a linguist, your child says, I want to be a medical doctor, your child says, I want to be a philosopher, your child says, I want to be a psychologist, try to help your child find out how the market can buy what he or she wants to be. If your child cannot find that out, there's a problem because your child will become that and your child will not be able to become rich from that. The natural propensity of human beings is to become rich, is to become wealthy. That's the natural propensity of the human person to become rich. We are human, we are animals of wealth naturally. Look at all the people that are wealthy. Some got wealthy through singing. Check out the musicians who are buying private jet everywhere. They got wealthy just singing, and you have a voice. You saw the guy who Onokoya or so, who wanted to break Guinness World Record on is it chess or so? He has hands. That's just why he has hands. That's what he's doing. Look at all the people who have become world renowned by just writing. They have hands. You have hands. So look at all the footballers. They have legs. You have legs. So the point is that the natural propensity, the natural dimension of the human person is wealthy. That's our nature. So you have no need not to be wealthy. Now forget government, like I will always say, because a lot of people, as you are saying now, they say it's the government. They don't get very the same environment where you don't have enabling environment and you are not prospering, the same environment where people don't have the same thing and they are prospering. So there are things you can change, like we said in our earlier podcast or broadcast. You can change the micro, you cannot change the macro. So government is the macro. Yes, things outside your control, they are macro. You can't change them. So change the things you can change. Okay. Now, the next thing is when you have exposed the child. Remember, we're still talking about entrepreneurial scoping. You've exposed the child to the realities of the market. The child will now start thinking, how can I be wealthy with this? And the child will start looking at being the best in that particular thing he or she is, you know, priming himself or herself. So I always tell people, when you give a child a vision, the child will forget the television. I'll give you an example. When you had if your children are still so young, or when they were young, when you buy their favorite puzzle, their favorite game, you see that day they won't watch television, they won't even watch cartoon, they won't come close to it. They will be so busy with that, trying to unscramble it to find how to use it and all those. The point is, when you give a child a vision, the child will forget the television. People bring their children to me to help change them, and they pay a lot of money. And when they come, what I do is just I through some algorithms and methodologies that you can also learn. I can teach you. You through that, I'll change the child's direction and make the child see the bigger picture immediately. If the child was a smoker, if he has left school and although you see the child going back and they say, "What did you do to my son?" I said, "I gave him vision, and that's why he's looking away from the television." The point is very simple: expose your child to realities of the market, but also you should be able to know that children will always think very much like you thought and I thought. That is only when you grow up that you will start making money. No, teach your children that life begins at infancy, and so should wealth building begin at infancy. Life begins at infancy, so should wealth building begin at infancy. What you use to become a wealthy person is what you created, what you started as a little child. So if you didn't start that as a little child, what happened is that you are going to think that when you grow, you are going to become big. And then you grow, find out that you were never big. You didn't become big. So be able to make sure that your children should know that life begins at infancy. So is wealth building and riches. They should begin at infancy. Okay. Before I make the next point, please, I want you, if you've not subscribed to this channel, just take out a second and click the subscribe button. And I want you to thumb up, yeah, thumb up for this broadcast. That's the only way that the YouTube algorithm is going to show it to a lot of other people. Then click on the share button and share this to your Facebook, to your WhatsApp status, and share it to your TikTok and other, platforms that you are in. Just use a second to do this. You know that your brothers, your sisters, your friends can really benefit from this. So what are you waiting for? Just do that right away. I'm waiting for you to just do that. Now, the next thing, talking about entrepreneurial scoping, the next thing is that make sure you don't entertain a sense of entitlement. Make sure that you don't entertain a sense of entitlement. Now, let me tell you what thing research has shown. Research has shown that people who things are done for as a way, as okay, how do I put it? When people are receiving things as an entitlement or from a sense of entitlement perspective, they don't reciprocate. That is why you see a lot of children. I don't want to say this as a way of insulting anybody or as a way of a rule. A lot of children who grow outside the family, for instance, some of the kids who lived in the dormitory all through, they didn't know when dad was sick. They didn't know when mom was sick. They didn't know those nights that robbers came to the house. They were not there when mommy was vomiting, when daddy was hit by stroke and all those. They were not there. They were in the dormitory. They were hostels and all those. They were pampered and carried from this big school to that big school to that. They developed sense of entitlement, and up to today, you see them. I have cases like that. People who brought their children, they were from this school to this school, masters here, doctorate here, and even with all the degrees, they are now asking their parents, give me 15 million, give me to start this one. They probably have started 2 startups, it died, and they are still asking for more. They have a sense of entitlement. They think, everything should revolve around them. Their parents never demanded reciprocity. Your children must know that they have responsibility in the house. So don't allow them have sense of entitlement. If you're a trader, they should follow you to the market. If you're a consultant, they should follow you. My son is sitting here beside me, listening to what I'm saying. Yes, because he has to understand what daddy passes through, how he makes his money, and all those. My daughter, who turned 18 this last month or so, she has been working in my company for 3 years as a full staff. You see, she sees how the money is made. She joined in making the money and all those kind of things. And she's training for her future. What's the point? The point is that don't allow your children to have a sense of entitlement. If you do, you're going to regret it in future. 21st century is a century of value. When your child comes to the point where he or she should give value, then problems start arising, because sometimes, because of all the leeways and all those that your child has had, he or she thinks that, life is just about what do you want and you get it. Okay? So be able to understand how to make sure that your children don't have a sense of entitlement. The next thing is, you know, show your children, we're still talking about entrepreneurial scoping, show your children that $1 million minus a cent is no more $1 million. Teach them the power of simple things. Teach them the power of penny and cover. They should understand that. I see a lot of people today, saying government did not do this, government did not do that, and you see a father or a mother die, and the children are fighting and killing themselves over their parents' wealth, and you're asking, nobody kept anything for your father, nobody kept anything for your mother, and then you are fighting over your parents' thing. Are you mad or something? Or are you mad or nothing? Or what are you? What's the problem? The point is very simple. They had a sense of entitlement. They were waiting for their parents to die. They couldn't do more. And they went to the best schools. Their parents probably didn't go to school. Your ability to understand this is at the heart of what? Of making sure that you raise 21st century compliant children. Okay? Now, arts and science make it a complete adult is very important. Now, one of the things that is a sin that universities, or rather secondary schools, commit, and then we go over to university, especially in our climate in Africa, is the problem of one subject expert. Your child will be told you can't do arts and science. Who does that? How is it that you tell a child you can't do arts and science together? That is madness. That is madness. How does the child understand the practicality of science? How does the child understand the beauty of literature and words when he or she just did science or did arts? Your child should do arts and science. In my house, I'm not recommending it for you. All my children, you do arts, you do science. You must have, O-level arts, you must have O-level sciences together. You must. So that when they're talking chemistry, when they're talking physics, when they're talking biology, when they're talking, literature, and all those. And this is like a mixture. When you bring literature, you bring physics and put them together, the mind understands things in a different way, unlike just arts or sciences. So you must be able to teach your children, how the beauty of arts and science. Now, the next thing is starting whatever he or she wants to do as he or she is schooling. If your child wants to be a musician, if your child wants to be an entrepreneur, if your child wants to be an artist, if your child wants to be a fine artist, a sculptor, while he's in primary school, in secondary school, allow your child to practicalize those things. Why do you go to school? You go to school to come and find a job and become rich. What if I can become rich before going to school? What's wrong with that? So don't always say Don't always think life is linear. You must do this one before you. They can add up those things together. They can add them up. Yeah. So allow your children to do what? To be able to be doing what they want to do with their lives while they are schooling. Don't just say, oh, finish your school first. Oh, finish your school first. Oh, finish your school first. The world has changed since you last checked. A lot of these kids makers, a lot of them earn 20 to 300, $20,000 to $300,000 every single month. And what do? They make skits. How much is you? You that you must go to school. How much is your salary? Please get it right. I'm not despising school. I have a PhD. I am in the academia. But it's the world has changed quite a lot. So don't always think the way you knew it. Always find the new ways that it's done. Okay? Our time is really running. The next thing about entrepreneurial scoping is that every child, all things being equal, will turn out great. So don't bother so much about, this child, he doesn't know anything in this one, that one. No, they would all turn out great. They will. Whether you are alive or not, they will still turn out great. So while you are dealing with them, don't kill yourself. Deal with them, talk to them. Don't over worry. They will all turn out right. You turned right. Some of us, we are not the best of kids when we were growing up. Some of us we are stubborn. Some we are, professional olodopromas. Some of us were, but you see, you've turned out nice. You have income. You are working. You are doing your thing, and all those kind of things. Okay, so that is that for entrepreneurial scoping. Let's talk about the next thing because of our time. The next thing, that's number two. We said three tips. The first tip is entrepreneurial scoping, and we've been able to explain about 10 points under that. The next thing we want to talk about is number two. Number two is trend with your children. TREND, trend with your children. You see, a lot of times we just feel, yeah, stop social media, stop doing this, stop that, and you can't stop your kids from the social media. Let it get into your head. You can't stop them from internet. You can't stop them from computers. The truth is that if you don't give it to them, I'm not a supporter of giving a child, Android and iOS or rather iPhone at a very young age. Yeah. But you see, it is very difficult to stop your children from that. If you look around, their classmates come with those gadgets. Their school libraries have them. Their liberal uncles and aunts allow them to fiddle with their own. Their teachers and neighbors, allow them to. So there's not much you can do. That is why you have to start understanding how to trend with them. In other words, the solution regarding the IT gadgets and all those is to understand how to trend with your children. Watch things and learn things with them. Watch and learn with them. Be able to see what they are watching online. Have some policies. At what point will you have a social media account? At what point is it prohibited in the house? Let it not be choky because whenever something is so choky, children want to go and check it out and find out what it is, the other side of it. So if possible, be ahead of them in whatever is trending online. Know what they know what they don't know more than they do. Don't always see yourself as old school. I see a lot of parents, they say, we're old school. They don't even know what they're doing. They're using it for the assignment. Why your child is using it to watch rubbish. You don't even know what it is. You don't understand Google Family Link. You don't understand, parental control. You don't understand prohibitions. You don't even know anything. Don't be that way. Learn what they are learning. Ask questions. Insist they explain it to you. Then know what they know and know even more. I'm talking to those who are not in the IT or all those, but a lot of you are, IT experts. But also try to engage with them at their level. That challenge you see trending online, Egwu chika toka kwa, awilo logomba, and they are dancing it. Don't just pass and say, come, bring, keep, let's teach me, let's all dance it, let's video ourselves together. Be able to engage them. When you do that, they'll have Freudian sleeps. Yes, Sigmund Freud. They will say things that you pick something from and then be able to understand where they are going, what they are doing wrong, and all those kinds of things. Yes, it's not easy, but when you follow them, in those things they do, you start understanding, you engage at their level, understand some things about what they are doing, and over time, you see they're able to become more open to you. You build trust with them. They open up communication channels. Yes, it allows you to understand them, allow them to understand you, understand what they're doing online. You understand their online world. They understand what daddy loves or what mommy loves, what daddy and mommy do not like and do not want. Yeah, you can then use this knowledge to have open conversation with them around the safety, around privacy, around cyberbullying, around responsibility, and all those. Yes. Wow, our time is running. Let me go to the next point so that we can wind down. Please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, just subscribe to this channel, put on the notification bell, and then be able to like and then be able to share right down. I encourage you to do that right now. If you are here, you've not thumbed up, please do your thumb up so that you can increase the recognition, the algorithm, YouTube algorithm recognition of this video. Okay, so let's talk about number 3. We said 3 tips for 21st century parenting, or for parenting the 21st century. We said number 1 is work. We still talked about entrepreneurial scoping. Number 2, we talked about trending with your kids. And number 3, we are talking about controlled environment liberty. Controlled environment liberty. I want you to take very good notice of this. Controlled environment liberty. Now, it's very important that you take note of this. Controlled environment liberty. Now, let's talk about it. Now, there's a contradiction in sometimes what we want from our kids. For instance, we want our kids to be very responsible. Yeah, it sounds nice. Be a responsible kid. Be a responsible kid. But you've not taken time to look at the word responsible. We want them to be responsible, but we frown at their independence. What does it mean? We don't like them to be independent. These are contradictions. Let me tell you, responsibilities create responsible human beings. Now, you know that already. Responsibilities create responsible human beings. But you see, there is no responsibility without independence. I want you to get this. Responsibility creates responsible human beings, but there can never be responsibility without independence. You cannot say you are responsible for guiding this gate and you didn't give me the independence of guiding the gate. It cannot work. You are responsible for cooking this food. You don't give me the independence of cooking the soup. That's what we do as parents. We want a responsible child who is not independent. It will not work. It doesn't work that way. So you must start understanding how to give your child a sense of responsibility and also give your child a sense of independence. And that is why creating a controlled environment liberty is very important. You start creating an environment of controlled liberty where you start making him responsible or making her responsible and allowing the independence within a controlled liberty environment, a controlled environment liberty. Now, I give you a very simple example. Sometimes give your child some money, could be huge. Give your child some money, not too huge, okay? give him or her some money and encourage him or her to spend it. No, use your money. Sometimes in my house, I could just every time I do, I put up a radio. For instance, I say something like a a bus was filled with married men, but there was no single human being inside that bus. A bus conveying people was filled with married people, and there was no single human being inside, no single person inside that bus. And then they will think about it, and I say anybody who gets it gets 100,000 to spend on whatever he or she wants to spend on. And then somebody will answer, that bus did not have unmarried people inside it. It was filled with married people only. That's why there's no single person, there's nobody who is single inside that. I said, amazing. I'll give you 100,000. Go and spend how you want it. Now it gives me the opportunity to understand the child's spending behavior. So I'll see the child spend it on ice cream, on chewing gum, on this one and that one. Along the line, I'll say, "Oh, how are you spending your money?" Say, "What have you bought?" The person will say, maybe after 2 days or 3 days, the person will show me all the things he or she ordered online and all those. And then I'll say something like, after some days, I can say something. Hi, there's this organization called Bamboo. They have an app. You can do a lot of investment, even in dollars, with them, and then it's well. And there's this piggy vest. You can put in money there, and they pay you some money and all those. And the child most times will probably try, and they say you're not up to 18, so you can't register. And the child will not try again. The child will not come and ask, "How can I do this, daddy or mommy? How can I do this since they say I can't register?" The child will give up and keep buying sweet and chewing gum and all those. Now, I would now know that there's a problem. The child doesn't have investment mentality. And without investment mentality, there is a problem. That is why a lot of people make a lot of money. They can't build houses. A lot of people make a lot of money. They cannot send their children to school. A lot of people make a lot of money. They cannot buy, properties and the things. In fact, a lot of people, when they buy what they think is asset, it will only be liability. So I will now notice that this child doesn't know the difference between asset and liability. This child doesn't have an investment culture. This child is a spending person. I will now try to start working around that. Okay. So if you now understand by that control environment liberty, you understand what the child is not good at. What do? You start trying to that. Don't shame the child. It's not hard to say you're not good at investing. It's for your information. It's just like a laboratory test. It's for your information. Because if you start shaming the child will not be happy with that money again. The child will just feel, you gave me this money, but I'm no more enjoying it because there's too much control around it. So be able to understand that. Now, don't, okay, this I would say creates a sense of ownership. It teaches them to manage their own challenges. It builds their confidence to make good decisions because they are trying things out themselves. They got that money. And remember, you made them feel they earned it. Okay? Now, don't shoo your children. Don't shut them up. If they want to contribute, you shut them up. I always tell my friends in the university, that in primary school, you shut up the kids. In secondary school, you shut them up. In the university, you give them what is not their mark because they didn't buy your assignment, your book, and where you put in your assignment. They didn't buy the book, and then you mark them down, or you want to sleep with them, and they say, "I can't sleep with you," and you mark them down. Now, at the end of the day, you had destroyed their sense of independence and sense of self-worth. And then they come out in the society. You want them to stand against the politicians and fight the politicians and fight. How? These guys, you destroyed their confidence in the university. So you don't want them, this the kind of youth we have now. I don't know. They cannot even, what do you want them to do when you are the one who destroyed their independence, their capacity to think independently, to be critical, to be curious, to have a sense of liberty? How can they fight? You've destroyed their confidence. In whatever you do, don't destroy your child's confidence. Don't shoo them. Don't expect them to challenge the bad in the society when you never allow them to challenge the bad they saw in the immediate environment in your own house. It will not work. Allow them their independence. If they find something that is wrong with how you approach things, or what you did, or how you acted, or what you spoke, listen to them and allow logic to prevail. Be open to discuss everything and every point they raise. Teach them the power of superior logic. Let them know that logic can triumph over just inept actions and brawn. Teach them that the brain has capacity to conquer everything. Teach them not just to fight, but to fight with their rationality. Yes? Don't accept those times you ask them question, why did you do this? They said nothing. Why did you do that? Nothing. Don't accept the nothing answer, because there is nothing called nothing. So if a child must do anything, make the child know that anything you want to do, I will support you. Anything you want to do, you can escape my ken, but you need to explain to me why you did what you did. Teach them that early enough. Now, it's very important that you be a dad or a mom. Don't just be a father or a mother. Father, mother is a biological thing. Dad and mom is a rational thing. It's something you grow into. Even the mad person can be a mother. Even the mad person can be a father. It's a biological thing. But to be a dad, to be a mom, is a rational thing. It's something you cultivate. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we just went through the three tips for 21st century parenting. And we said number one is entrepreneurial scoping. And we tried to talk about some of the 10 facts under that. And we said number two is trending with your kids. And we talked about that. And we said number three is about um, controlled environment liberty. And we talked about that. I want to appreciate you for listening, but I want you to take out a minute, a second, and share this video. Share this video. If you've not subscribed, please click the subscribe button. If you have not liked, please like this. Subscribe, like this video, share this video, and above all, put on your notification bell so that when we put in anything, you are going to get it. Now, with this same link today, you can always be part of this program every Wednesday and every Sunday. 9 p.m. is the time. Tell your friends about it. It's actually life changing. Looking forward to see you. Now, if you have any mess topic you want us to teach, to talk about, you can reach us on 090-555-99925. 090-555-99925. You can reach us there to tell us, oh, treat this topic, or even you have something that is bothering you, you want us to help you, you can always do that. Now, the person managing this account is Lady PJ, Mrs. Press Jegede. She's my boss here who is managing this account at the moment. So she can also manage your own. You can also reach her on 090-555-99925 for her to match. She owns a social media marketing and management agency. She can always help you with your social media. The few questions I need to ask you: what are your children aptitudes, and what are their aspirations? Do you know that? And did you find that out early enough? If you have not, please go back and do that. I want to appreciate you for listening. Remember, only those who do go to the bank. If you don't do, you will not go to the bank. While you actually do something, always remember to sell something. When you sell something, always remember to collect your money. Till I see you next week, Wednesday 9 p.m. and Sunday 9 p.m. Remain blessed and stay celebrated always. Join me in other of my handles, Cali Cousins or Dr. Cali Cousins, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on across all the social media handles. See you soon. Remember, stay celebrated always.